Okay guys, we're looking at our second video on road congestion and market failure and how governments can tackle this. In your notes, could you guys make sure that you are on the top of page 143. Okay, we're going to home in on this little section on the top right of your booklets, and we're going to start talking about road pricing and what the government actually wants to achieve through this. What are its aims? The first reason is actually to discourage driving. They don't want as many cars on the roads. If they can achieve that, then obviously congestion is reduced and all of the negative externalities coming from congestion are reduced. In addition, this isn't just about people driving. Most of the time roads move or cars move very smoothly on our roads. So this is trying to control where and when people drive. So for example, the London congestion charge is about removing excess traffic from that area at peak times. The drive to work, the drive home, can we reduce the amount of traffic on the roads at that time? Obviously, it's also number 3 about encouraging public transport, and then potentially, if taxes are involved, it's a way of raising finance which could be used on other projects as well. Okay, could you guys turn to page 144? Okay, and on page 144, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at different policies. Now, the first one is going to be a rise in indirect taxation. 2 types of taxes are put on petrol, both VAT and excise duties, so an ad valorem and a specific tax. And if you remember what's happening, the tax is imposed initially on the firm, and then the firm, if it can, is going to try and pass some or all of that increase in tax onto the consumer in the form of higher prices. Whether or not it's able to do so will partly depend on the elasticity of demand. If there's inelastic demand, it will be more able to. Okay, now I always ask students to cover up their work and go through each point one by one. So please do the same. Okay, so you can focus on each point. Okay, so if you guys can just do that, that will help you enormously. So what are the advantages of taxing petrol? First of all, it will help to correct market failure. It will move price and output towards a more social efficient level. Okay, so closer to the social optimum. If it reduces traffic, it will reduce the amount of external costs. Think of some of those, and highlight this point. It will internalize the externality. If oil is used less, it will help to preserve oil. It will make it last longer. Also, in terms of the tax, think about what could happen. It could be ring fenced. Okay, so it's only used on road infrastructure or to improve the environment, or potentially, if we think that driving cars leads to CO2 emissions, it could be used for green initiatives. So how successful will this be? Well, it depends on how much VAT or excise duties are increased, and also on the price elasticity of demand and supply. So very important. Now, I thought I would show you these one by one, but I don't think it's going to work like that. Let me just get these cons back up. Now, importantly, what are the downsides? Okay, and try and focus on each point. Because the prices go up, this will be regressive. The people on lowest incomes will least be able to afford this. Higher prices haven't reduced congestion to date, and that's partly because of growing demand, but partly because of inelastic demand as well. And then think also, well, if petrol's going up, that means business and transport costs are going up, which is going to feed into higher prices. Now that means if there's goods are more expensive, that could affect employment, output, and potentially the competitiveness of the UK. It will also lead to decreased spending power for consumers. Don't worry about what this diagram means. This is a little note to yourself when we get to macroeconomics. Okay, when we start to look at aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Okay, so that's the first of our policies to tackle road congestion. The second one is simply, if there's not enough supply, why don't we literally build more roads? Okay, now it will relieve congestion at least temporarily, okay, especially on the motorways. Now, this has come up as a past paper question in the past, as have most of these policies. Okay, so don't, and by the way, be prepared that a question asks you just about a single policy. Okay, what I would say on all of these is, as I go through these, if there's 5 or 6 advantages and disadvantages, learn 4. Okay, if there's 8, learn 5. Okay, if there's 4, learn 3. Okay, make sure that you know whatever you learn inside out. Okay, that's the key point. Okay, pros of building more motorways, and you can highlight ones you want to learn as we go through this. Okay, certainly road building hasn't kept up with the rise in cars. If you think of what an extra motorway lane would do, if you were 3 lanes and you turn it to 4, well, you've increased it by a third. Okay, there are more miles of motorway in other EU states per head of population than in the UK. We could build more motorways and put tolls on them, so the money comes back. Also, the British government collects significantly more in road taxes than it spends on the road network. And if the government can't afford it, you could get the private sector to build them, and then have tolls on motorways, just like there are in some other countries, such as the M6 toll that we talked about. Therefore, this would pay for itself. So if money is a problem, get it paid for by the private sector. Now, in terms of the potential downsides of building more motorways, again, think of taxpayers' money. Every time there's a cost, an expense to the government, think of the opportunity cost. Think about the fact that actually what happens is that supply creates its own demand. As soon as a new road is built and people think, you know what, it's much easier on that road, again, it drags traffic towards it, encourages drivers to make journeys more often because it's easier. Think about some of the issues in terms of how long this would take. So building motorways has planning problems, battles with environmental groups. Some of these can take years, and perhaps, and you guys can consider this with each of these strategies, perhaps road congestion can be better solved by increasing spending on public transport. Okay, so maybe a better rail service, better bus service, and so on. Okay, the third of our policies would be to rise the driving age. Now, I imagine this would be very unpopular with yourselves. What I'm going to ask you guys to do is to very quickly, not to say it's not fair, because I have to tell you, no one would be interested. Okay, there's always going to be an age limit. Okay, so in terms of the driving age, okay, why? Give me a good economic reason, pros and cons of raising the driving age. Okay, so pause the video and for 4 minutes and have a go. Okay, see what you can come up with. Okay, hopefully you guys have had enough time. What did you come up with in terms of economic reasons? Okay, in terms of raising the driving age, obviously this is going to take cars off the road. It's going to reduce external costs. Okay, most accidents do involve younger drivers. Okay, it's also very easy to do, very simple. The difference between checking someone at 18 or checking someone at 21 is actually, there's not much difference. Now, for some of you, you'll be thinking, I really wouldn't want the driving age to be raised, but give an economic argument. Okay, so possible ones, loss of revenue for the government, and more importantly, it could be unfair. You're punishing people who might not be causing congestion. I missed a little bit there. And also potentially those people may need to drive, okay, to get to work, so you're harming job prospects of that 18 to 21-year-old group. Okay, so try and always think of economic reasons rather than anything else. Okay, we're going to have a look at one more before you guys have another activity. So in terms of subsidising public transport, we've looked at subsidies already. So this is the government paying, rail firms paying bus companies and effectively you're trying to encourage people onto public transport away from cars, okay, and in terms of that you're trying to reduce external costs, so you're trying to make public transport cheaper. Okay, now the pros of this, okay, investing will make the quality better, it will make it more reliable. Some of you are concerned about things like that. It would reduce the price of public transport. Please emphasize key points such as the progressive impact. It could reduce the number of cars, and then as a result of that, this would reduce externalities such as congestion, the delays for workers, for shoppers. Remember our nice little diagram with all the externalities. Okay, and in terms of low income earners, it makes them more mobile. Okay, if there's better public transport, buses and trains. Now, in terms of downsides of this, okay, there are some downsides. Again, consider the cost to government and the associated opportunity cost. This could be spent elsewhere. Public transport can also be reliable. People don't like it. If I need to take the bus, I've got to leave my house. Or let's think of you, some of you, many of you will take 2 bus journeys. So you leave your house, you go left, you go right, you walk to a bus stop, you wait at the bus stop, you get the bus, off you go, probably into town to Cardiff Central, get off there, then you go and wait for another bus. Okay, take the bus, you get up to Penellan Road, come off the bus, and then you walk into college, and then on the way home you've got to do exactly the same thing again. Okay, so people don't like it. There's a lack of convenience. Okay, sometimes it's unreliable, sometimes the quality isn't so good, and actually, would it take many cars off the road? Okay, so think about that. So because of the inconvenience and the particular convenience of private cars, there would be inelastic demand for cars, so this might not have much impact. Okay, note also that bus and train companies might not pass on the full subsidy to passengers, and remember what subsidies can also do. They can support inefficiency. Okay, really important. Okay, some of these bus and train companies are already making profits. This is obviously going to increase that, producer surplus, and should, just remember the economic argument, should passengers be paying their own fare? Okay, undoubtedly, whether you agree with that or whether you disagree with it, it's an economic argument. Okay, the remainder of this session will be on the next video. Okay, thanks everyone.